I bought a house at the age of 20. I'm 23 now, but I don't actually pay the mortgage. My mom does. And before people immediately judge that was always the plan. I saved up for the down payment early, and after we bought the house, she handled the mortgage payments. That was the agreement from the beginning. But even knowing that, living inside that reality still feels strange sometimes. Because from the outside, it probably looks like I'm ahead in life. Everyone around is congratulating me on my big purchase and envying me. Like I figured something out early. Like I'm stable. But most days, I honestly feel like I'm still trying to catch up to the life I already started building. When I was younger, I was focused on saving money way more than most people around me. I wasn't really spending much. I wasn't constantly going out or buying random stuff just because everyone else was doing it. I was thinking ahead all the time. I was obsessed with business and self improvement after high school. Every book I read was to improve myself and level up further and further. Every decision felt connected to the future version of my life. And eventually, that discipline turned into enough money for a down payment. And that down payment became a house. At the time, it felt like I skipped ahead in life. Like I unlocked something early that most people don't get until much later. But what nobody tells you is buying the house isn't really the finish line. It's more like opening the door to an entirely different category of pressure. The house itself wasn't even ready when we bought it. For about half a year, we couldn't even really live in it properly because we had to demolish parts of it and rebuild it slowly. And when I say slowly, I mean day by day. Saving money, buying material, waiting for the material to come, doing what we could when we could afford it. Doing it with whatever energy we had left after our workday. At first, all we really needed was the essentials: water, electricity, HVAC, just enough to make the house livable while we continued renovating it. And honestly, living in a house while it's still unfinished changes your perspective on what having a house actually means. Because social media makes it look like the second you get the keys, everything is complete. But in reality, sometimes you're literally building the house while living inside it. And I think that mirrors my life pretty well right now. Because that's exactly how everything feels. Half built, functional, but unfinished. Right now, I make around 54K a year. And when I first started making that kind of money, I thought it sounded decent. But then the reality starts showing you the math. My car payment alone is around $900 a month. I know that sounds like a lot. I didn't have a down payment for that. And every month that payment shows up like a deadline. Like a reminder that adulthood isn't really about what you make. It's about what stays after everything takes its cut. And after the car, I try to save whatever I can. Not because I'm cheap, not because I'm scared to spend money, but because I know this current version of my life isn't permanent. I know I need to level up financially, and saving feels like the only thing giving me movement right now. The sacrifices show up in smaller ways too. I don't really spend carelessly anymore. Fast food turns into, I should probably save that money. Random shopping turns into, do I actually need this? I used to gamble, and when I did, it turned into, what could I be spending or saving with the amount I just placed on this bet? And honestly, part of me thinks that's good for me. Because discipline is probably the only reason I got this far in the first place. But at the same time, there's this weird feeling when you're young and already thinking like you're financially recovering from something. Like you skipped the carefree stage completely. And then there's work. I work in a warehouse retail environment, and physically, it trains you in a way that builds slowly over time. It's not usually one dramatic moment. It's accumulation. Standing all day, lifting things constantly, recovery work, resetting shelves after customers tear through everything during busy seasons. And right now, we're in the peak of a season. So everything is more intense. Everything is faster. Everything matters more. One of the worst shifts I ever had involved pulling deliveries for the next day. And toward the end of my shift, there were still two massive orders left. Around 1,500 pieces of lumber total, including plywood, dimensional lumber, materials to cut and assemble. Everything. And I remember staring at those orders thinking, I genuinely don't know how I'm supposed to finish this right now. Because physically, I was already done. Mentally, too. But I also knew if I didn't finish them, customers would be upset, coworkers would be frustrated, the next shift would inherit the mess. So there really wasn't a choice. There was no way out, only through it. And that moment stuck with me because it perfectly described how my life has felt lately. Already exhausted, but still having to keep going because stopping creates some bigger problems later. Another moment that really stayed with me was when I was put in charge of executing a merchandising play. And I tried, but it wasn't up to my boss's standards. A coworker had to come help me after management called her over. Then another manager came by asking why it still wasn't done. And he had to come in early because of what I tried to execute. And I remember feeling genuinely useless in that moment. Not angry, not embarrassed even, just small. Like I was trying really hard and still not performing at the level expected. And for the first time, I seriously questioned whether I even wanted to grow inside that environment anymore. Because earlier in my life, I thought management was a goal. You delegate more, you support the team, you're not constantly on the front line physically destroying your body. But after interviewing for management, something changed in me. I remember doing that interview and realizing I performed the worst out of everyone interviewing. And weirdly enough, that failure helped me. Because while I was sitting there thinking about the role, I realized something. Even if I got it, I would probably hate my life for a slightly higher paycheck. That was the moment where everything mentally shifted. Because I realized I wasn't trying to climb the ladder anymore. I was trying to leave the building entirely. And that's when I started seriously thinking about electrical work. I first found out about the apprenticeship through one of my coworkers. He got in with no experience, and when I heard that, something clicked in my head. Because suddenly the path felt real. Like this isn't just some impossible thing only other people got to do. And the more I looked into it, the more it made sense. A career, raises over time, real skill progression, something stable, something that grows instead of resetting every day. I also have a family friend that did our electrical work in the entire house, so I already have a connection within heading in that career. So I applied. And honestly, I thought I was moving in the right direction. I went to the building for registration, then I realized I didn't have the right paperwork. So I had to come back twice. And even that alone humbled me, because it made me realize how unprepared I actually was. Then came test day, and I still remember the room. Hundreds of people, probably around 200 to 300 people. Everyone sitting there trying to get into the same opportunity. And that's when I realized how competitive trades actually are right now. Because online, people make it sound easy. Like you just decide to go into the trades and suddenly your life changes. But that's not reality anymore. Trades are trending right now. Everyone thinks it's the easy way out. Heck, I even thought it was the easy way out. So now everyone's trying to get in. The test itself was stressful too. Time sections, 5 sections total. You had to think quickly, answer quickly, and move quickly. And while I was taking it, I already knew I wasn't fully prepared. I could feel it. Then eventually the rejection came through the email. And honestly, telling my mom hurt more than actually failing. Because there was disappointment. Not disappointment in me as a person, but disappointment that things still weren't progressing financially. And I understood that completely. Because she's carrying a lot. And I want to level up too. I want to help more. I want to reach the point where things feel stable for both of us. And that moment forced me to look at myself honestly. And I needed that. Because now I know what I have to do differently. Now I'm preparing differently. I'm not only focusing on the apprenticeship anymore. I'm trying to use connections to get into electrical work in any way possible. Even if it's just helping out an electrical company at first. Because once one foot gets in the door, eventually both feet can get in. And that's the mindset shift I've had recently. Stop waiting for the perfect breakthrough. Start building smaller openings into bigger opportunities. And honestly, that's also part of why I'm making YouTube videos now. Because I want to document this stage of life while I'm actually living it. Not after everything works out, not when I already made it, right now, while it's messy. While I'm still figuring it out. Because I think a lot of people in their 20s are getting sold this idea that there's some easy path somewhere. Like there's some hidden shortcut everyone else knows, but the older I get, the more I realize that there really isn't. Every path costs something. Trades cost your time and competition. College costs debt. Warehouse jobs cost your body. Business risks your stability. Everything takes something from you. And I want younger people, or even people my age, to see that in real time. Not to discourage them, but to prepare them. Because social media usually only shows the result. Not the middle, not the uncertainty, not the exhaustion, not the repeated failures before something finally works. The older I get, the more I think about one question. Did I build my life too early to sustain it? And honestly, I don't fully know yet. Because sometimes it feels like I did. Sometimes it feels like I rushed into responsibilities before my income caught up. But other times, I think maybe I'm just in the hardest part of the process, the middle, where you've already started building your life, but you're still trying to become the person financially capable of sustaining it long term. And when I think about making it now, it doesn't mean luxury. It doesn't mean showing off. It means peace. Being able to wake up without immediately thinking about bills, not constantly checking my bank account before making decisions, travel, experience different places, not spend my entire life in one town just surviving. Because life is short, and I don't want mine to only exist inside routines, recovery, and responsibilities forever. Right now, I'm still in the middle of it, still working, still trying, still applying, still building, trying YouTube, trying new directions, trying to become someone capable of building a stable future. And honestly, maybe that's what your 20s actually are. Not having everything figured out, just slowly building the life you hope eventually feels stable. If you're in your 20s feeling like you're behind or stuck in the middle of building something bigger than your current situation, you're probably not alone. A lot of us are trying to become the person our future life requires, one step at a time. Leave a like and subscribe if you were able to resonate with this. I want to document my entire journey with every failure I make and with every little step towards success, so I can show people who are younger or like me that you can also push through the struggles. Have a nice day.